Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to Mumbai Angels Network's Reboot 2 Industry Edition, a series of events focused on the challenges and opportunities for specific sectors in the new normal. Before we begin, I request all of you to please keep your devices on mute to ensure you can hear the speakers clearly and participate better. The session for today is divided into 40 minutes of panel discussion and 20 minutes of Q&A. Do send us your questions during the chat. Our team will curate them and we'll try our best to get them answered by our esteemed panelists. The sector in focus for today is blockchain. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors and partners for the session. Event partner, Ideal Insurance Brokers, taxation partner, TaxMantra Global, ecosystem partner, Atal Incubation Center, Banasthali Vidyapeeth. Our panelists for this session are Akash Gaurav, co-founder and CTO, Authlink, and a global top 100 influencer. Akash is a technology innovator, entrepreneur, and is featured among the world's top 100 blockchain leaders. He recently founded Authlink, a blockchain security platform for luxury goods and valuables. He previously founded one of India's pioneering blockchain firms, Oxys, during his study at IIT Bombay. Akash successfully exited Oxys in 2019 after a product acquisition. He is a visiting faculty at Amity University, Dubai, and sits on the advisory board of London-based fintech startup Kasha. Akash has also served in various expert committees formed by the government and public-private sector to strengthen technology adoption in India. Our next panelist for today is Dominic Karunesudas, founder and MD, Drone Dominic is a prominent technology entrepreneur with over 19 years of professional experience in high technology consulting, such as cybersecurity and data privacy, blockchain, AI and ML, drones, along with e-governance, digital media, and technology policy. A former editor of technology with the Times of India Group, CNBC TV 18, and Web 18, Indian Express Group, he brings a strong foundation in investment banking, M&A, and law. He briefs the PMO, National Security Agencies, the Armed Forces of India, and the private sector leaders on matters related to applied technology and cybersecurity for national and economic security. The next panelist for today, Nishal Shetty, is the founder and CEO of WazirX. WazirX is India's largest cryptocurrency exchange, which was recently acquired by Binance. He is a huge blockchain advocate and influencer with a large follower base. Nishal has been active in the space for a long time with a mission to involve everybody in the blockchain revolution. He has been an advocate for bringing positive crypto regulation in India, which has been picked up by crypto advocates globally. The session will be moderated by Dr. Tuhin Chattopadhyay, founder and CEO, Tuhin AI Advisory. He is a celebrated business analytics and data science thought leader among both academic and corporate fraternity, recipient of numerous prestigious awards, and is hailed amongst India's top 10 data scientists by Analyst India magazine. Tuhin has spent the first 10 years of his career in academia and research, teaching business statistics and analytics at several reputed schools of India. As a corporate practitioner, Tuhin has a proven track record of accomplishment of a transformational lead in organizations such as the Nielsen Company. Currently, he runs his own consultancy. As an AI and business analytics advisor, he is responsible for providing a full suite of services of advanced analytics consultancy to the clients. I would like to thank our panelists for their time and for giving us and the audience the opportunity to learn from their experience and insights. Without taking any more time, over to you, Dr. Tuhin.
Thank you so very much, Shivangi. Deeply appreciate your kind appreciation and introduction to all the panel members. So I think, let's make it very interactive as we do every time with Mumbai Angel Network. And there won't be any kind of presentations. So I'm sure none of the participants will feel bored even for a single minute. That's the whole objective. And the second objective is that we will clarify the basic or the core concept of blockchain, what it is, why it is being used, what is the future lies ahead, why it is so very required. We will touch on these points. And of course, we will take the question answers at last. So keeping that agenda in mind, let me start with, first question to our respected panel members. Let me start with Dominic. So Dominic, in a couple of sentences, if you have to explain, or in a couple of minutes even, if you can explain the core concept of blockchain, what it is, especially for a beginner who is not yet exposed. What is distributed ledger framework? what are the nonces, what are the hashes, and why it makes it very secure, and why it is absolutely transparent. If you can throw some light, that would be awesome. Sorry, can somebody unmute Dominic, please? Shivangi, could you please unmute Dominic?
Dominic, could you unmute your microphone, please? Akshay? So while Dominic, yeah, okay, great.
No, not yet, not yet. You're again muted. You're unmuted again. Yep. Please go ahead, Dominic.
All right.
You are audible. Please go ahead.
Great. So a couple of basic things. First, to address the security and privacy needs. In cybersecurity and privacy, it's quite prominent that 100% security is a myth. However, blockchain is one technology that brings to fore to make the whole system much more robust, decentralized, and secure. Blockchain per se as a technology is quite solid and secure. Unfortunately, it is the exchanges and other platforms which will have vulnerabilities through which there are cyber criminals, for lack of a better word, that can penetrate the network and gain access to the users. To simply put, blockchain per se is a record-keeping technology and also the technology behind the Bitcoin network. And I'm using the word Bitcoin because it is the most prominent and well-known cryptocurrency in the world, though there are many, many others. So in layman's language, it would be a distributed, decentralized public ledger, right? And though it may sound too complicated, there are a lot of graphics and cartoons online that explains the whole thing of blockchain. So the reason is why things have not been able to pick it up in India. There are multiple reasons to it, and one of the key thing is the regulatory agency not believing in the whole concept of blockchain and its applications, though there are some amazing startups who are trying to do their best. The blocks on a blockchain are made up of digital pieces of information, and they are specifically disparate and decentralized. And hence, for somebody who penetrates the network and tries to gain access out of it, will fail.
Cool.
So that would be the very basic of what it is. And for every transaction, information such as the date, time, the amount in dollar or INR will all be recorded.
Perfect. Perfect. I think you give a very good overview of what it is from a layman's perspective. And Akash, let me take this question to you, and I would like you to throw some more suppose there could be some participants who know the basics and they want to hear a bit advanced steps from us. Say in the sense that what is block per se, or what is data here, what are the nonces, what is 32-bit whole number here, what is a hash here, the 256 bit number, and how is the mining been done. So maybe it's perhaps slightly larger perspective, but maybe if you can throw some light on it. Akash, over to you. Yeah, Akash, you are on mute. If you can unmute yourself.
No, I am not on mute anymore. You guys can hear me now?
Yep, please.
I'll try a life cycle approach, a transaction life cycle approach, while explaining that how the blockchain functions. So let's say that the sender A wants to do a transactions for sender B, where sender A is the party A is looking to send something, is looking to send a value. It can be a money, it can be any other product which has a value. It can be a piece of how the blockchain is that every participant has their own unique pair of cryptographic keys. Now, these cryptographic keys has 2 points. One is the public key and another is the private key. Private key is what something remains very, very confidential to that particular person. However, the public key is generated and provided already in the public domain. So in order that someone has written something, a party has authorized and approved one transaction, one can check with the public key that whether this transaction is valid or not. So the first step of a transaction is to make is to make a transaction and sign it with their private key, and then move to the next steps into forwarding this transaction, broadcasting it to a network. Once a transaction has been broadcasted into the network, every party, every node of that particular ecosystem is going to receive that broadcasted information, which they can check it through their public key, through the sender's public key, that whether that's a party which has been approved in the transaction or not. Once everyone, blockchain works on a very decentralized proof of work based mining protocol, which ensures that everyone has an equal opportunity in the blockchain to participate, to validate transaction, to mine a block. These are a proof of work based, one of the most famous mining protocol which Bitcoin use, the proof of work protocol, where each of the miner tries to solve a puzzle, and depending on who wins this puzzle first, or who is able to solve this puzzle first, gets a chance to create a block. And this block is where they record all that particular information, all that particular data about that transaction, bundle it up in a box, which we call it a block, and then broadcast it to every other party in the network. Once it has been broadcasted to every party in the network, they will pre-validate the information with the memory pool data, or with the data which have been available with them. And once everyone agrees, they will join up this block into this entire chain of blocks, calling it the blockchain. Now, the block that the tree in cryptographic terms. This Merkle tree ensures that all of your transaction informations are completely interlinked with each other, are completely traceable with each other, as well as its hash function ensures that the data is highly compressed, which is required for the validating of a transaction, the backside. So this overall, the Merkle tree will ensure that your data and your transaction information is securely recorded and throughout captured in a blockchain and buried deep inside the block, making for anyone, for a hacker, or even for a node owner to tamper with the data impossible. So this is the cryptography behind blockchains, most prominently Bitcoin, which secures all this transaction, all this information, and this
Yeah. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Akash. I think Akash very well clarified how blockchain is applied and the power of the crypto programming is leveraged for the cryptocurrency. Now let me go to Nischal and request Nischal to throw some light on the use of blockchain beyond the bitcoins, beyond the cryptocurrency. It has got its wide usage, and maybe of course we will discuss in detail subsequently, but at least some overview to the participants, just to give since many of the participants might not know the applications of blockchain. So if you can somebody we typically hear about crypto. Yeah, exactly. We are coming to those parts. We are coming, definitely. So Nischal, my request to you is that if you can quickly throw some light on the applications of blockchains in the other sectors. Of course, we will take that question again thoroughly, but just to give a kind of introduction to the participants. Nischal, over to you.
Sure. Yeah. So I think Bitcoin is like the most popular one. Everyone sees it as, let's say, a store of value. But what are the other things that have been built in this ecosystem? So that's a lot of stuff, but I'll pick on a few, top of the blockchain ecosystem right now. The first is Ethereum. Think of it like a global supercomputer, where anyone can run their code or have their own. So what that means is, let's say if you're a software smart, there's nothing but you actually deploy this code direct to Ethereum, and then it will run there forever. You needing to manage your own. That's something that got Ethereum really popular. That was one of those early blockchains which had a new application which is running code on the blockchain. After that, there's also something called as Ripple XRP, which is trying to solve the banking problem. So today, if you see, when you move money from, let's say, India to the US, there's a number of banks that come in between, and there's a delay. It might take 1 or 2 days or 3 days to transfer your money. So what Ripple is saying is that they're trying to deploy their blockchain amongst all the banks around the world, so that transfer of money from one country to the other becomes instant. Within 5 seconds, you should be able to send your money from, let's say, India to the US if you are on the Ripple blockchain. So these are like, and there are many, many more applications, but I'm just touching on a couple of them just so that people understand. Happy to answer anything around this.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Dominic, over to you now.
Yeah.
Would you please like to throw some leveraging the transformational power of blockchain, like as the distributed ledger technology, blockchain has capability to provide networks and organizations, improve security, transparency, accountability, efficiency. So from that perspective, you can throw some light.
So, let me share some of the real life examples and
Please.
applications of blockchain, which has been successful or not so successful, but in case-to-case basis. So one of them primarily where blockchain definitely has been very successful has been supply chain management, right? So there's a blockchain provider named TYM LEZ, which has volunteered its services to the Dutch government and is in the process of deploying blockchain-based solution to match supply and demand in the medical products ecosystem. And more so in a COVID-19 scenario, it has been the Dutch government has been working very closely with this specific blockchain service solution provider. Similarly, we have a mobile and online payment platform, which most of the audience might be familiar with, called Alipay. So Alipay has created a blockchain-based solution to help charitable organizations to collaborate more efficiently, transparently, because a lot of time the donor is worried if the money they are donating, is it going to the right organization or the right cause or the way the money is used. So this solution claims to offer features such as track the donations of release supplies and help them allocate more efficiently depending on the likes and dislikes of the donor. Similarly, in Europe, we have a provider where blockchain has been used for contact tracing. And one of the primary concerns for citizens at large is the privacy during contact tracing. So using proximity tracing, a protocol was designed by a number of research institutions in Europe, which assured the users that their privacy is assured and there will be no data misuse, right? The other example for healthcare organization was deployed in Germany, where it was used to track users, and it's called MYNXG. Similarly, there is a Genobank, which is a decentralized bank in part of Europe, which is used for biodata collection. And using an application, they are using it to acquire user information anonymously, test them, and tell the owner that either they are positive or negative. In the whole benefit, there are also some other angle to it, where China has deployed blockchain-based technology and distributed loans approximately to the amount of $200 million to about 87 to 90 business, cross-border business houses using a pilot blockchain finance platform. One of the facilitators for this platform was WeBank, and they are further engaging with the Chinese government to scale it up internationally. The US, interestingly, is exploring a solution called FedCoin. That may not necessarily be the official name, but FedCoin is the name given to it, where can US, in the light of Chinese and other Europeans coming out so aggressively, can explore a solution around the same. This is more so in the California, Silicon Valley area that they're trying to discuss with. Another quite interesting but may not be very successful application was to use blockchain voting mobile app. The idea is everybody need not necessarily be in their specific region to vote. So can blockchain be used as a mechanism, as a technology platform to vote and choose the leader that you probably believe in? There are some small countries, one of the key being Estonia, where they are also dabbling with this. They're already big into electronic voting. Currently, they are trying to deploy blockchain on over and above electronic voting and trying to make it more secure because security and privacy being the primary concern here. Finally, there are other countries such as Germany, Finland, Ireland, Netherlands. They're also trying to play on similar lines and explore, can blockchain be used for e-voting, for supply chain? Maersk, which is a very prominent shipping company, has deployed blockchain for their supply chain requirement, and there are multiple case studies on the same, and the case study claims that they're quite happy and satisfied with the overall result. All said and done, word of caution from my end is, though the blockchain technology offers tremendous potential and opportunity for entrepreneurs and technology enthusiasts, there are also other areas where they need to explore. Like, for example, in India, it is very key for entrepreneur or the ecosystem per se to engage with the government and the regulatory body, in this case, the RBI, instill in them the confidence that this is what they actually works like. Otherwise, the government alone will not be able to grasp the whole technology because they have a lot of other roles and responsibilities. One of the reasons why we don't see too much of traction in blockchain, or we see the traction, if so any, in silos, is because the RBI themselves are confused. Should they allow this? Should they not? And so on and so forth. So these are quick points and the opportunities here.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Dominic. I think you have clarified this part quite a bit. Let me move to Akash and let me ask Akash, how do you see the future of finance with blockchain?
So I believe, in my honest opinion, that finance has already been revolutionized by blockchain. That the Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies already being giving us the new way, the new fairly independent store of value, a store of asset. And now what most people, and now what we are even further trying to do, is that how we can also revolutionize, taking the inspiration from the Bitcoin or taking the products that are coming up with the Bitcoin. So we are seeing from the last year that there is a lot of momentum going on in the cryptocurrencies. India being taken positive steps towards crypto adoption recently, have started been following up with a better adoption. And then a lot of derivatives based exchanges, a lot of additional mainstream finance applications that have started coming up on top of the Bitcoin. So we have seen that now there are banks kind of companies which provides you interest, where there are professional trading firms which can handle your value, which can handle or your manage. There are derivatives which is making it more adoptable and which is making it more playable in the mainstream game. So that's one sequence through the crypto as a part of the blockchain, which is revolutionizing the entire finance industry. And but other than that, there are a number of potential areas where, including you can say the Bank of including from the Bank of England to the RBI, are taking and measuring adoptions and seeing overview that how blockchain can help us into their intermediary process. And factually, they have been started implementing in most of these places. So from starting right from the KYC and identity management, blockchain plays a very crucial role into how, in this changing world where we have started valuing data as it should be, where we are now concerned towards our privacy, where now we are concerned towards the data confidentiality. In those cases, a lot of amount of data that is being created by a number of finance companies, the number of finance companies which are coming in other than banks, how we can manage in that. So number one is the KYC and identity management, where the big banks as well as the governments are taking joint initiatives into building up such solutions, where they can protect the person's data, it should be fully complied, it should fully be ensuring the privacy of a person be going online with, while ensuring that there is a fair value of for all these financial components involved. Further, if we see that there are new applications such as even including for small business owners, there are new platforms which are providing them discount financings for their products, which are pronouncing invoice discounting options. Now, because blockchain has been created, and now we have seen that the security of invoices can be interlinked and create in a better way. While the banks were only earlier able to finance these big blue chip firms for any invoice discounting, now we are seeing that there is a ladder, the tier 2 firms, which have been provided the projects by these blue chip corporations, can also apply for the discount financing by through of these applications that has been brought up. Then the trade finance is another highly sought after sector that has been done, and a number of banks across the world has implemented this, has tried doing this already. India is also in the early stages of doing this and implementing, while a number of countries such as Singapore and the United States has already built a full-fledged solutions in a number of banks who are able to do this trade finance and invoice discounting as a seamless solution they have started offering. The last is itself sovereign government-backed cryptocurrency, or a government-backed digital currency, is one of the most sought-after use cases which government is looking on. So we see that from the Monetary Authority of Singapore to RBI and NPCI in India, they are looking on to working on to products where they can come up with a digital currency on blockchain, which is backed fully by the government, in order to root out some of the age-old problems of counterfeiting of notes, age-old problems of not able to trace the money, the black money. All of these problems are looking to be easily get solved through a government-backed cryptocurrency. Now, definitely the issues lies around the adoption. The issues lies around that how much digital we have already been able to, because once you start bringing in even a government-backed crypto into a practical environment, there are still people who are lacking up with the digital world, particularly in India. And those are some of these challenges which are being faced, which as more digital penetration is happening throughout the world and throughout the country, more and more better use cases that has already been designed for protecting everyone, as well as providing better benefits from the government, can be implemented in a quicker pace of time.
Thank you so very much, Akash. Thank you so very much. So Akash nicely clarified how blockchain can be leveraged in the financial settlement, trade finance, and money transfer in the bank. And let me go to Nischal now. Again, on the finance only, the other key players in the financial industry besides banks are the insurance companies. And to develop the smart contract, like to create a transparent, secure, immutable, and reliable ledger, document contracts and transactions and records, the digital insurance companies play a big role. And it is also true for the claim management, claim settlement part. And a lot of fraudulent activities go ahead in the claim part. So to bring a lot of transparency and security in the digital insurance part, what role can blockchain play? Nischal, over to you.
Tuin, can I go back to the previous question that you asked about the future of finance? That seems very interesting and very close to what I work on. Can I elaborate a bit on adding on what Akash said?
Sure.
Is that fine?
Yeah, please. Sure.
Okay, so I think the first important aspect of blockchain and crypto, where finance gets completely changed, is look at the world today. When it comes to information, it's there's no geographic barrier. I mean, you can be sitting in the US and you can be writing something that someone in India can read it. But think about finance. Today, there's a geographic barrier where if I have to send money, I can send money freely, maybe within India, but it gets very difficult for me to send it to someone somewhere outside the country. But what Bitcoin has done is it's made your concept of money it has removed all the geographic barriers around it, which means today I can actually sit on the internet and all you, pardon? Can you hear me?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. We can...
Okay. All right. So all I need to do when I say that geographic barriers have been removed in finance is that today you can send a crypto to anyone, anywhere in the world, and you don't need an intermediary. Because if you have to send money, you need banks in between. But if you want to send money in the crypto world, you don't need anything. It's peer to peer. I can send money to you right now without anyone coming in between. All you have to do is share me your address and I can send that money. So what has happened is this geographic barrier has been removed thanks to blockchain and cryptocurrencies, which is where we are seeing a lot of these new kind of initiatives. Take, for example, the whole fundraising. Like, ICOs, I'm sure a lot of us have heard about. Now, ICO has been possible only because geographic barriers were removed, which means if you're building a startup in India today, you can actually raise money in the crypto ecosystem from anyone, anywhere in the world. And most times, most of these entrepreneurs who raise money in crypto, they may not even see their investors. They may not even know them. All they do is they, put their ideas out or put their products out and raise money for that, which never happened before, because the traditional route is where you have to go to a VC and then raise money. Individual investors cannot put money into your startup. There were tons of barriers, which has been removed because of blockchain. So the way finance is changing in the blockchain world today is it's removed the geographic barrier for money. And that aspect, once we start thinking about that as entrepreneurs, then you can come up with new application. So many times you might have thought of ideas where you are like, only Indians can do this, or someone only in some specific country this can happen. But now, because of crypto and blockchain, your ideas related to money can be global. You don't have to be India specific. You don't have to be US specific anymore. So I think that will, see a ton of new kind of startups coming up in the finance space, which are not bound by geography. So I think that's something that I see very, very powerful in the whole crypto world, today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nishchal. I shall come back to Dominic again with a question that comes from our audience repeatedly, and that's a part of our agenda as well. Like, what kind of use cases do we see in the application of blockchain beyond the finance industry, beyond the cryptocurrency? So a couple of things let me discuss, and then I shall leave it to Dominic to elaborate and give some more examples. One key example that I can see is in the energy market, the smart metering concept, like smart metering of electricity generated through an individual solar panels to be recorded, traded, and settled on a ledger. That's kind of a cool thing that is going to come in near future. The other thing which I can see is a kind of healthcare, where the patient's data can be tracked from the beginning, and that can go to the hospital in a very secure way, transparent way, and all the stakeholders in the maybe the insurance companies, maybe the healthcare providers can have access to it in a very secure way. So Dominic, from that perspective, let me ask you that what other applications? It can be in education sector, it can be in the shipping sector, aviation, in multiple sectors you can find the applications of blockchain. So could you please throw some light on that?
Sure. Earlier I shared some of the applications in supply chain, healthcare, identifying anonymously patients who are probably COVID-19 and so on and so forth. But let me now bring forth a unique perspective, if I may. One of the areas that blockchain technology is being used currently, and it's also quite hot because it matches along with the United Nations goals, sustainable development goals. One of them is environmental sustainability. So there are startups who are focused on deploying blockchain to offer verifiable records of who exchanged what with whom, because that's the primary basis of blockchain bringing on to the fore. So there is a startup, if I can name, called Civic Ledger. So this is a startup based out of Australia that is helping Australia with regards to digitization, the operations and services for water trading. So water trading may not be a concept big in India, but back in Australia, it's dealt with in a very big way. So that is one area that the blockchain is getting used in a big way. In Indian state of Andhra and Telangana, blockchain was, I think, used to bring to fore the land records. because some of the biggest frauds that happens, as we know, are to do with real estate and lands. So that is one area that probably the startups can focus on. However, in all these areas, it is key that, so for example, land records, real estate, these are also issues where a lot of regulatory compulsions come to force. So the startup or the founder members in a startup will have to engage with the agencies and the government, because without their support, executing this would be quite tough.
Got you. Clear. So now let me, ask the next question to Akash. Akash, we have seen that, IoT, AI, and blockchain, they synergize and they can be integrated because blockchain and IoT are kind of natural match in the sense that blockchain is decentralized technology and IoT networks are often used to collect the data from the sources that are scattered. So a lot of machine-to-machine transactions can take place. So could you please throw some light on the use cases on the integration of AI, IoT, and blockchain?
Sure, absolutely. I think one of the best use cases which are running practically and running live is the including a mixture of blockchain and IoT is the renewable energy trading as you described. So that's one of the very good example which how the entire how at a mass level in the state of Poland has been implemented. So there we see that at a mass level, people are generating, people are surplusing and becoming a prosumer of electricity. They are creating this electricity which is directly being transferred into the grid. And while all of their grids are connected with a blockchain network to ensure that as soon as one particular, the unit of power in kilowatt hour or in any unit of power is generated and transferred from one creating this power generation house to the power storage, the blockchain automatically provides them, monetize them in form of some kinds of an interused digital ecosystem currency, which the people can again use when they want to become the consumer of electricity, when they are facing bad days because of, say, the rainy weather or because of other reasons. When they are not able to produce electricity, they can go back to the same generator, and their node can pull the power so that they can light up their houses and use electricity while using the same coin which they have earlier generated using this. While blockchain provides one one is the financial incentivization and creates an open sharing financial ecosystem. But other than this, if you see, the entire smart contracts and technology is the key which is running this entire operations, which is making these things entirely possible. So there is zero centralization in terms of accounting of how these electricities are being managed. There are which requires to be done by an intermediary parties. Blockchain is the one which is removing all these parties and ensuring that this self-sustaining, self-reliable ecosystem of finance can work out really smoothly. So that's one really smart use case. Another smart use case which we are seeing as an intersection of a blockchain, AI, and IoT is the autonomous cars. So with a number of states, including California and Texas, being going legal onto or moving towards allowing these cars to be operated, it still creates a huge problem of when we are talking about automated car, and a car's restriction is very much limited to what it can observe, how much data it can gather from its surrounding, and which gets limited, which has a limitation by the physical sensors. This physical sensors cannot see across the corners what's happening. Most of these radar, lidar, or image processing based technology which these autonomous cars use have a hard time while we are talking about how we are doing in a curve navigation. The blockchain proposes a very sophisticated implementation where we are talking about each of these cars to be connected across each other in a distributed network, so that we ensure that all of these data is well protected and no one can hack in and no one can play around with their data, and ensure that they can leverage the other cars facility. So say we are taking a turn at a very crowded junction. The car, my autonomous car doesn't know that what's in the right side of that particular road. but the other cards which are connected to the same ecosystem can sense that data. And if we have a secure meaning of sharing all these data among all these smart cars, and the key here should be the disintermediation. We would not want to allow such a system. When we drive a car, we remain the self-reliant, regardless of the government regulation. When we are driving, we trust on our instinct, and we ensure that it's our duty to ensure ours and everyone's safety. It's not one central party on which we want to rely on, that they are saying something and they should jump onto it. We have seen an old example of Google Maps trying to do some of these bad stuff, or not bad stuff, but these funny stuff happening around. We would not want again an intermediate to have such a thing happening. Blockchain proposes a very strong use case can actually make this possible. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Akash. Before going to our question and answer session, because it's 12:10, we'll move. I shall just share the last perspective which we are set into the agenda is about what is the next for blockchain. What I envision the next for blockchain is its application in the sharing economy. The sharing economy concept has not yet started. Airbnb, Uber, or Lyft is not in the true sense of the term. But sharing economy is more about getting whatever you want, whenever you want, anywhere you want, without the intermediary, without the middleman. So blockchain will help in getting the identification done, background checking, and then the good behavior will be rewarded, the bad behavior will be punished. So that's why a new sharing economy will come up as the next thing. So let's go to the questions now, which we have got, which we are getting, and which you have got. Let me start with the first question. What new use cases of blockchain are you seeing in COVID-19 world? I have seen, of course, how the charity is being done through the blockchain, because it has been transparent, where from the money is coming, where it is going, who is using. So that's one interesting use case I have seen. I would like to put the question to Nischal and take his view around the use case of blockchain in COVID-19 world.
Yeah, I think so. The biggest shift that we are seeing right now, at least in regards to WazirX, is a ton of people are signing up on our exchange to start trading on cryptocurrencies. Because if you look at what has happened, a lot of people have lost jobs, or a lot of people are sitting at home, and they may have free time at hand. And what they're doing is they're trying to see what are new ways to make money. And we all know that cryptocurrencies are, sort of a future asset class, and everyone around the world is trading in them. So what we are seeing at WazirX is a lot of Indians are signing up on our platform to start, purchasing cryptocurrencies, trading. So trading as a activity, or as a, part-time job, or a full-time, I would say work, has taken up amazingly in this last 2 months. Like our sign-up numbers have tripled as soon as the lockdown happened. And when we started asking people what is the reason they're coming on, and these are people who have regular jobs, or offline jobs where they had to go to work, and now they're sitting at home and they don't have any work to do. They're trying to understand new technologies, and when they come across crypto and blockchain, then they come on to our platform to buy those cryptocurrencies. So I'm seeing this as like one of the major shifts that are happening in the lockdown and the post-COVID-19 world right now. Yeah, I think I can tell a lot, but I will let others talk.
So Dominic, over to you about the next question. What do you think are the key challenges or barriers of blockchain? And if you can also shed some light about why may blockchain fail. Dominic, over to you.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. And so I'll try to keep it as short as possible. So this specifically to Indian subcontinent, because that is where the entrepreneurial thing is.
Indu, could you please mute yourself? I can see the noise is coming from Indu Prashant. May I humbly request Indu Prashant to mute herself or himself?
It's done, Dr. Kevin. We can continue.
Yeah, please go ahead, Dominic.
Yeah. So so the thing is, it's an old saying that law can never catch up to technology. Technology, specifically internet technology, is very fast, moves very and borderless. We have already discussed all that. As we speak, the Chinese government has already formed a committee of academics and startups. These includes companies such as Huawei, Tencent, the e-commerce platform JD.com, Baidu, Alipay, and the whole motive is how to be global leaders in blockchain. They already have a document on how to be global leaders in AI. And as Dr. Tuhin already mentioned, blockchain itself cannot be a standalone technology. You will need artificial intelligence. You will need a lot of other technologies to make blockchain itself a successful technology. So to specific startups, they should address as a community, as a group, reach out to the regulatory body, in this case RBI, and constantly engage, because the problem is meeting them twice or thrice will not necessarily help. It's more about regular engagement and sharing with them successful case studies, how X technology by using blockchain, some specific problem was solved, and how that specific thing is applicable to India. That really would help, I feel. Apart from that, there are 3-4 specific questions that they can pose or think about. One is, how do current regulations impact the application or change with regards to application of blockchain? How can we help deploying blockchain to improve the current processes and make it much better and easier for the people at large? And also it will ease the load for the government, right? Second would be, where are the current regulations lacking? And if we can identify those, can blockchain help support, bridge those current lackings? So this would be something that will lure the government agencies and other bodies also to engage with the startups or the entrepreneurs, right? What will a regulator want to know about a specific applications and its benefits, right? How do we work closely with the regulator to bridge their gap and concerns and offer solutions using blockchain? And the final would be, ask them the question, what is it that is stopping them to bring this a little more openly out, right? Because the point is, the documentation that come out with always are with holes and lack of clarity. So it's quite important, according to me, that startups, entrepreneurs engage with these bodies. And the final point would be, and this would vary depending on if the blockchain is offered as a solution or as a product, right? A lot of them are focused on American or European markets and offering them, servicing it here, and then sending it back. So how can a blockchain solution help a state or a city streamline their services? The question again remains, is all about engagement and bringing in them, instilling in them the confidence that this is one technology that will be beneficial to people at large and also for the government, because they themselves are in pressure these days. So technology will always help them ease and focus on much better aspects of life and governance.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dominic. Dr. Tuhin, if we can look at some of the live questions that are
Yeah,
coming
I'm going to that. I'm coming
audience.
to that only. So a question to Akash. This is entirely from the startup perspective. So can you please throw some light about how could startups adapt the blockchain technology, and how can the startups monetize the blockchain solutions?
So I understand you mean from a generic startups perspective, that what they can use as a blockchain, right? So how we, with the growth of blockchain, now there is a very thin line margin that has been covering up into that it's a blockchain based product, or it's a blockchain based company. Now with the evolution of this with this entire tech, there is a small element which is very helpful in the blockchain, which can today be used by anyone, just like how people uses C++ or people uses Java whenever they feel required. So the blockchain has been started moving into those directions in this mainstream adoption for this technology development. We believe that particularly whenever you are talking about any businesses, which we are talking about any businesses, any online businesses that have been handling users' data, smart contracts and blockchain ensures and provides a very good medium of how you can store that particular person's data in a more secure manner, provide them access to more control of their data, of what is happening behind is the auditing purposes, the general auditing or ensuring that their company's financials are in track, particularly when there is a growing need of money being monitored and watched more carefully. So some of the complex businesses, such as when we talk about financially complex businesses, such as the payment gateway, the exchanges, where the companies run on a very thin margin and a very high level of sophisticated level accounting in order to know that which transactions has completed, which transactions has failed, which transactions need to be refunded, and which transactions cases blockchain offers a very simple and sophisticated solution that to ensure that you make your system in a very resilient manner, in a very much secure manner, and you are able to adopt the small components of this technology in order to support this. Coming from the application, your technology can adopt in order to make yourself more better in a much simpler environment. And for these 2-3 cases which we have given, there are easy to access blockchain APIs by a number of companies that are available which are doing that. Other than that, particularly if we see in this COVID-19 scenario, we have been discussing with ourselves at Authlink, we have been discussing with a number of companies where the work from home culture is hugely increasing. Now people are lying behind the fact that they have started embracing the fact that even after these things open, many of us can keep resuming our work from home because we have already developed a very sophisticated framework around this. Now, when we are moving towards more remote work and digital life, we still need to find way of how to deliver these documents at the same level of security that currently these letterheads do. So if we see still with so much technology being advanced, still most of the documents which the Indian companies or startups issue will be on a simple letterhead, which will be signed by the director and sealed by the company's logo. There is a high problem of verifiability. It can easily be faked. It can easily, and then it's a physical thing. You will have to deliver it. You will have to courier it, increasing the risk for everyone. Now the solutions have been starting, such as the solutions as ours, where we are starting providing these businesses to that they can self onboard themselves. And after a proper due know your business protocol being followed, they can add in the signing authorities, and they can start issuing the digital version or the purely cryptographic version of their letterheads. So these are the simple use cases which have been start hitting in it now in the COVID world, as well as how the world is evolving, and using this blockchain for a faster and easier verification of these documents. So this is another simple example of how startups and the businesses are now using blockchain at a mass scale.
Thank you so much. Now, my next question is from the audience that has come from Sridhar. And I'm putting this question open for 3 of you, Nishchal, Dominic, Akash, whoever wants to answer this. This is all about, have you seen any kind of failure of attempts in the blockchain in certain sectors? And what might have been the reasons for the failures? And consequently, in which sectors you feel blockchain technology can be applied?
Should I talk about a couple? So if you see, I think in our conversation also we've had this where when you think about blockchain, you say that blockchain can kill the intermediary. So we can have blockchain applications in a ton of areas where it already exists. Take for example Uber. There's a lot of people who said Uber is a middleman and they charge 20 to 30%. So let's kill Uber and bring a blockchain solution. But and these startups failed. Similarly for Airbnb, someone tried an Airbnb and blockchain, that failed. Now, what was the reason of the failure is that you cannot simply replace an existing efficient system by just technology and say that it will work and it will succeed. Because when you talk about Uber does not just charge money, they also give you a service, your customer support, managing the drivers, managing the network, which means you cannot just say, I will beat Uber by bringing blockchain. Blockchain is an enabler, but it's not going to help you succeed unless you have a better business model or a better approach to go to market. So all the top businesses that have failed in the blockchain ecosystem have been those that said, I will beat them by technology, by replacing them with blockchain. So that alone will never succeed. And I think that's great learning. This happened usually in the 2017 timeframe, where if you have been following the whole crypto ecosystem, you'll read that tons of money was raised in ICOs, and then the startups never built anything or never succeeded. That's because everyone said we will replace existing successful products with blockchain. So you had hundreds of products trying to be what your Uber, Ola, whatever that existed, and all of these failed just because you cannot just build a successful startup with tech. So I think these are great lessons for us.
Thank you so much.
Queen,
Let's
can
please, Dominic, go ahead. Yeah.
So one example that I remember of was earlier I had shared of the Andhra Telangana, because that time it was not separated, state trying to deploy blockchain solution for land records. So for the same, obviously the concerned government, the chief minister's office, the IT department looked out for startups in that space, and there were a bunch of startups who rightfully pitched it to the government saying that, okay, this is what it is and we can offer it to you. Unfortunately, when the work started off, the startups, the founder members themselves realized that they don't have an experience to do this in the real world scenario. One. Two, the real world scenario also means talking to officers at taluka level, district level, panchayat level, and a lot of them forget blockchain. They don't even know how internet actually functions and what it is all about. For various reasons, internet penetration in deep rural India is still a dream, right? Though the government is trying their best. So for all these cases, they were not able to pull it off. Some story was. However, because the government was quite adamant of still experimenting with this, they bring into play a startup probably from Sweden or Switzerland, and they did the primary study, right? But obviously it was not able to scale up at a state level. It was just a pilot study and it ended there. And so just as Nischal also pointed out, real life scenario cannot be changed just by bringing a blockchain / AI solution.
It's just an enabler.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I think the last question is 12:26. We have got the hard stop at 12:30. The last question has come from Priyanshu Shukla. His question is that blockchain payments are full of benefits like no middleman, low fees, but they come with certain flaws too, like one of them being double spending. So what are some other problems which can be resolved before using blockchain-based payment on a large or legitimate scale? So open for Dominic, Nischal, Akash.
I'll just speak for 30 seconds and then.
Sure.
So one of the key concern now is also the amount of processing power that the servers and other IT infrastructure will take it, and the amount of heat that it will generate. So there are multiple open source studies and research papers for the same, that to mine cryptocurrencies or to deploy a very large project, what is the kind of heat that is generated, what is the kind of electricity that is consumed, and so on and so forth. So environment, ecology being the key word for the past couple of years, and it's been taken up very, very seriously. That is one area that a lot of government and non-profit organizations are trying to build conversation with, and probably that also probably is a startup opportunity of engaging and figuring out if there is a possible solution for the same. Additionally, another challenge, like I've been repeatedly saying for any startup, is understanding the ground realities of what it is, and will just deploying a technology change that? Because it will not, right? There is a lot of engagement that will be required with people and leaders at various level, and then crossing those hurdles. So primarily this technology also for a startup that may not necessarily be funded in the beginning and they are bootstrapped, they also have to figure out that for the kind of processing power that they are looking forward to, do they really have the bandwidth to scale? Because without the right funding in the bootstrap stage, it's quite not that easy to pull it off, unless every entrepreneur is pulling in their own seed fund, which is quite adequate sort of a thing.
So I would like to add to this, the one of the biggest barriers for payment, in the blockchain world, one is scalability, where today you cannot have, you don't have really truly decentralized blockchains where tons of transactions can happen. But this is being solved. But the second is also the network effect model of your traditional currencies. If you look at INR or any currency in the world, including dollar, it's a network effect model where all of us have INR today. So I'm not suddenly going to start using a new payment system, just like I'm on Facebook. I'm not going to just move to a new social network. Similarly, in the blockchain space, the cryptocurrencies, the Bitcoin, which is the oldest, is just 10 years old. So it's going to take some time before these network effect models kick in for cryptocurrencies. And that's the biggest reason.
Thank you so much. Last 1 minute on the safety and security issue of blockchain.
Okay, can I speak for 20 seconds?
Please, please.
All right. So yes, to sum it up, like I also mentioned in the beginning, is 100% security is a myth. However, we can only make it tougher for the cyber criminals, make their life difficult. So blockchain per se might be a very secure, robust technology.
It's 12:30.
But it also depends on what is the kind of platform or the exchanges or the ecosystem or the IT infra that it is deployed on, because vulnerabilities come out at various levels, not necessarily in blockchain per se, right? So yes, it is secure. Yes, it definitely offers the kind of privacy measures which no other technology in the current scenario offers. However, the allied technology should also back it up, right? So if those who are little familiar with internet itself, they are familiar that internet itself and the founder members of internet, whether it was Tim Berners-Lee and others, have apologized for this, that they never thought that it will grow so big and security will be such a big concern. Right, today it is. So it is a wide web with a lot of holes, and within those wide web of holes, we are trying to build blocks of various technologies, but the foundation itself is not so secure per se. So
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think it's 12:30. Thank you so much, Dominic. Thank you so much, Nishchal. Thanks a lot, Akash. And I must extend my heartfelt thanks to my Shivangi and Akshay, who helped us in making this happen. Shivangi, over to you, Akshay.
Thank you, Dr. Tuhin. Just a final words from our side as a vote of thanks that on behalf of MA Network, thank you, Akash, Dominic, Nishchal, and Dr. Tuhin once again for your time. I would like to thank the audience for being active involvement, our members for their constant support, and the team at the back for curating this session. I would like to thank our sponsors and partners for today's session: event partner Ideal Insurance Brokers, taxation partner TaxMantra Global, session partner Unocoin, ecosystem partner Atal Incubation Center, and Banasthali Vidyapeeth. Our next session is focused on MA Reboot 2 Industry Edition is electric vehicles on 29th May at 11:30 a.m. IST. We look forward for your presence for the next session. Thank you again for all the panelists and moderator for joining us and all the attendees who joined us for today's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.